that time of year again where we come up with a new dating term.
They pop up out of nowhere all the time.
They really do. Who is making this up?
The Gen Zers, they're the ones that come up with all the new terms. Keisha just wrote down one and she was like, everyone knows it's cuffing season. And I was like, the does cuffing mean? I'm a sex and relationships podcast. I don't even know what these things mean anymore.
The new term is called sledging.
Hi guys and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Laura.
I'm Brittany.
I think I'm getting sick.
Oh no. Why?
I woke up with a really sore throat this morning.
I mean, actually,
razor blades.
Oh, you're at razor blades? That's like COVID. The only time I've had proper razor blades in my throat was COVID.
Yeah, but we don't talk about COVID anymore, do we?
Why? It still exists.
Yeah, but like do people care?
No, they don't. Oh, but you're the one that brought it up.
I didn't say the C word.
Well, I'm not beeping that.
What is going on?
The thing that worries me about COVID is that you and I go down like flies. Do you remember that time that we got COVID? Mitch did too. Somehow Britt, scot-free.
Have you? Laura, Keisha, what's your name? You took me to hospital when I had COVID. What do you mean I got off scot-free? You picked me up and took me to emergency and I was admitted.
Yeah, no. That was strange because I didn't get it then, but I did get it the time that everyone else did. Maybe you still had immunity from that. But somehow the whole of our team went down like flies. And you were the one carrying the team strong.
And you sailed through. Well, I don't know what this is, but I woke up this morning and you know when you wake up, it's always worse in the morning and you're like, it's coming for me. But anyway, I'm here, so I'll stop complaining. Happy Monday, everybody.
Just don't touch me at all. Not
with
your
shame.
Not with your feet, not with your hands, not with your lips.
I was going to try and make out with you later, so that's really put a dampener on my day.
You do that on a Monday. You like to start your week with a high. Okay, we'll get better.
So last week, you guys might be aware because we did post it on social media. We shared that we went to the Australian Podcast Awards. So I posted last week that we won an award for best team in the entire world. But everyone thought that that was actually an award because people keep on congratulating me. And I just want to, I really want to clear it up in case there was any confusion. We didn't win an award. But if there was one for best team in the entire world, it's you guys.
Lord, don't clear that up. That's the kind of rumor you're happy to let float around.
This is it. Well done, beautiful ladies. Congratulations. So deserving. Congrats, beautiful legends. Well, we might not have won anything this year, but Tony and Ryan won the People's Choice Award. And like we could not be happy. If we're going to lose to anyone.
It's Tony and Ryan.
Losing to Tony and Ryan is like, it's a treat. It's fine. I listened to them on the way here. So
I put them on my stories saying congratulations. Like I love them and I'm so happy for them. But we do want to just say thank you to every single one of you lifers and not lifers, maybe lifers partners that voted for us to get in. We did make it to the top 6, like the finalists of the Listener's Choice. We have won it 3 or 4 times in the past, I think. I can't remember, 3 or 4 times. But you guys didn't come through for us this time, and that's okay. Tony and Ryan did. It's amazing. It's amazing that we even got there, and we appreciate every single one of you that voted. It was really nice to go and sort of mingle with other people in the industry because we don't often get to do that.
Yeah, and also to everyone who started a burner account. I know every year some of you are so committed.
And like university accounts.
Yeah, you don't just vote from your own account. You vote from all the fake accounts that you've created, and we're here for it. Like, you know, we're okay for a dirty win if it comes that way as well.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have to be an honest win. I think there's more interesting things that came out of the podcast awards. Like, I don't know, your titty?
Well, yeah, that was the other thing. So I thought, look, it was a day of comical errors. I was running late for the awards. I posted that I was like, you know, stuck in an Uber on my way home from work. And then some asshole named Steven said, why are you always so unorganized? And I know I am. I get it.
Steve and I would also like to know that. Thanks for asking.
You're not the only one who asked this question, Stephen. I posted about it. You might have seen on stories. And then I got myself to the podcast awards. I made it. I pulled myself together. I went with a slicked back hairstyle, which really just takes about 3 seconds to do.
It's the go-to for sure.
And I was ready. I felt so well put together until we had our team photos. And then I looked back on those team photos and in every single photo I had my tit out because I was wearing like one of those like stretchy Liddy dresses. Liddy City. Yeah. And as soon as you put your arm above kind of like a 90-degree angle, the thing just stays, but the tit goes high.
No, because you had it, yeah. It's not the dress's fault. It was your fault. So basically,
I agree. Liddy.
We don't know. But I love them. My mum's wearing them to my wedding. As
Your
a
mum's
mother,
already picked her wedding dress.
my mum, she picked it ages ago, but she's wearing one of their outfits, which is really cute. No, it's because it's like satin, and then you had a stick-on thing on that's like a slippery satin thing too. So it's just like two slippery seals sliding on each other. So when you lift an arm up, it shoots right down.
I'm a big fan of a stick-on bra. Like, I really like them. I find them comfortable. I find them surprisingly supportive for these little itty-bitty titties, and I wear them often. Like,
I don't.
You never wear them?
I free boob. I barely wear a bra.
No,
I hate bras.
My bras have to have 4 to 5 clips at the back.
Yeah, see, I don't need that.
mine's more a case of like, I need nipple coverage these
Yeah.
days more than anything else, you know? So that's kind of more what the point of them are. Anyway, so I had my stick-on bra, arm out, and then I looked back on the photos and they were gorgeous photos of the team. And I was like, well, I want to post one, so I'll just embrace it. And
Yeah.
I did. And I posted the fact that I, am a hot mess and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you posted the photo of like the stick-on bra coming out. You can see it. You look banging otherwise. I don't think it's a big deal, but you owned it. There wasn't media that took it. Like, these photos didn't get out because of the media. They got out because you posted it on your own page.
Yes, I owned the hot messness.
Yeah.
What I didn't own, and what was truly an unexpected follow-on from this, is why the Australian media cares. Because, like, to me, a little bit of a wardrobe malfunction, funny, we all laughed, ha, 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 Laura, hot mess, Stephen won't like this. But for some reason, this post of me with a little bit of like a chicken fillet stick-on bra
Like, who
went
cares?
so stupidly viral over the weekend that I kept getting sent articles, and they were all from different publications. I'm talking Sky News, I'm talking news.com, I'm talking, which Daily Mail, I mean, we expect that. But Sky News? Like, why do you care? And this is the type of headline that was written. Aussie influencer Laura Byrne's embarrassing wardrobe malfunction leaves fans questioning her lifestyle habits.
What were they questioning?
It's like I'm rolling around in a caravan full of 72 dirty nappies. Like, what are my lifestyle habits?
What are they genuinely questioning?
I don't
Like,
know.
what's the question that Sky News is asking?
I think that my fans are questioning why I'm such a fucking hot mess.
But your real fans know why. Your real fans aren't questioning anything.
Also, news.com reached out for a quote. I got an email.
Frick, please, can you comment on your chicken fillet?
News.com emailed me directly and they said, "Hi, Laura, would you like to give a statement? We're running an article about your wardrobe malfunction and how it's upset some fans." And I was like, what fans?
Stephen! It's Stephen! Stephen's written to Sky.com. I mean, Sky News.
Here's news.com. Influencer's outfit mishap exposes embarrassing problem. What's the problem?
And why is it embarrassing?
Well, no, I'm embarrassed to be me too.
No, you're not.
It's so over the
Sometimes.
top.
Right. Oh, well. Well, it's nice to kind of reflect on your wins in life. And
What
I
do
guess
they
that's
say?
one that's going to live for forever.
No, there's no bad news, no bad publicity.
All publicity is good publicity,
Yeah,
and we
that
didn't win any actual awards, so at least we got some.
Do you know what actually was really quite disappointing though? So the podcast awards, we know that they don't fare in comparison to other industry events like Logies, there's the Acras.
They're not even on the
there's
same.
the Arias, and then there's the Australian Podcast Awards, which kind of is like an awards ceremony in a big community hall, kind of akin to that.
It was giving like year 12 Girl Scout.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
a little bit.
What's the Girl Scout thing?
Well, I don't think
rock
that's
and roll.
That's a gang symbol, isn't it?
That's rock and roll.
Is it is it two fingers?
Well, I don't know, Britt. What did you do in Girl Scouts?
It's the. What did you do in Girl Scouts? It's a time for exploration.
Always be prepared.
Is it two fingers?
Is it a two fingers?
No, I don't know.
You weren't a Girl Scout, were you?
I was though. I don't
Well-
remember any of it. Suppress those memories. All I remember is going to Gum Nuts and having to clean toilets. And I was like, this doesn't seem fair.
Seems like child labour.
Yeah.
You cleaned the toilet.
Yeah, I did Gum Nuts and Girl Scouts. And you'd have to go away on like these.
Most people go out and learn how to tie knots. They don't clean the toilet.
We got sent on like this Girl Scout in Wollongong where I grew up. So Gum Nuts is like for the little kids, and then Girl Scouts, you're a bit older. The most seared in memory from that time of my life was going away on Girl Scout camp and all of us staying in this big camp hall, which is like up in Mount Kira, up in the green wilderness.
That's where you just
Scatter
put
the
your
ashes.
ashes on your grandpa and grandma. Oh, we've come full circle.
Guys, we drove straight past the scout hall, and as we were driving up the hill, my sister and I were like, oh wow, that's where we
Clean
clean those
toilets.
toilets. I remember cleaning toilets there. Anyway.
Something has gone so amiss if you look back, quote unquote, fondly of your childhood memories at the gum nuts and all you can remember is cleaning the toilet.
No, no, they're not fond memories. I didn't say that. I do also remember making that, you know, when you'd get like a donut piece of cardboard and you had wool and you would wrap the wool around the donut piece of cardboard, and then once it got so fat that you couldn't fit the wool inside anymore, you cut around the edges and it turned into a pom-pom. I remember making one of those.
Real life highlights.
And also door knocking with Girl Scout cookies, which now you couldn't do anymore.
We were doing taekwondo and stuff. We were like doing martial arts and learning to tie knots in trees and stuff. We were like I'm pretty sure I had a Swiss Army knife.
Wow. I don't know if the Wollongong Girl Scouts back in the 80s was top notch or not. I'm sure it's better now. I don't want anyone from the Girl Scout community to come for me.
They're still cleaning toilets.
No, you guys, I'm sure you're doing great things now. How did we even get here? What were we talking about?
Podcast awards.
Oh, I was giving Girl Scout Hall.
Yeah, so it gave Girl Scout Hall vibes. The only thing I wanted to say about the podcast awards was what's disappointing is that there was no press there. Like there was hardly any media there that I saw. You know, like normally at these, if it's like a big award night, like an industry night, it turns into a big thing, right? There was no one there. And the only articles that I have seen be written is my TED out. Why?
Do you want me to answer honestly?
Yeah.
I think because in general, podcasting, and I don't agree with this, obviously, I mean, I've got skin in the game, but I don't think it's as respected as a medium for media as what other, you know, TV and radio are, which is really funny to me because I think the most creative and talented, obviously this is a little biased, but I think that people in the podcasting industry are like elite in those fields.
It's just funny because I remember when we started as well, like a lot of people, we did start early in the podcasting world, like 6 years ago. There was not a lot, and people were like, cute hobby, can't believe you're doing that. What a waste of time. It's never gonna be anything. Like focus on a real career, all the things. And I think now there's still a stigma attached. When you say I'm a podcaster or someone says I'm a podcaster, everyone's like, cute, like what's your real job? But you look at Australia is definitely behind the times with the rest of the world, for sure, in every aspect. But when you look at the rest of the world, some of the highest paid people are podcasters. Like the Joe Rogans, the Call Her Daddy just signed a $125 million deal. Like it's so funny that people are like, cute hobby, and she's like $125 million.
Also, I want to reflect on how much we have evolved because 4 years ago, Laura, and I did say this to you on the night as we were going home, it was relatively early when we left the podcast awards this year. We were both sober. And I said, Laura, I want to take this time for us to reflect and think about 4 years ago when both of us got so drunk that you couldn't come to work the next day and I slept with a stranger and threw up in my bathtub.
Yeah, and guess who had to carry us again?
So
Me.
Brittany.
I had to get up the next day because you guys were so sick and vomiting in your
I
room.
was there, to be fair.
I
I got
wasn't.
to your house. I just wasn't there in spirit.
I had to
was
do a
there
solo
physically.
interview with some random old man. And I was like, I don't know enough about you right now.
Brittany did have to take one for the team. You were the camel of that day. You just carried
Camel?
it. You carried it on those humps.
I was the only one that didn't hump.
So I also didn't hump. No, that was, look, 4 years ago, podcast awards were a different story. It was also Keisha's very first year with us. And
She was a bit excited.
she got so excited and so litty. But I was also excited, I would like to say. I just finished breastfeeding Lola and I had forgotten where the limit was. It's, you know, you've got to like reacquaint yourself with what it's like when you go back to drinking post breastfeeding.
Yeah, you
And
remembered real quick.
I nudged really close to that limit and then I went beyond it and then I spent 2 days in bed. I even had... I mean, God, this is going to make me sound like a terrible mum, but I even had to get a babysitter because I couldn't parent my own children. I had to call a friend and I was like...
You were Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls. The limit does not exist.
It was like, I can't go to work and I need a babysitter. So that happened.
Where was Matt?
He had to go to work. One of us has got to show up because it lasted for 2 days. Couldn't function. I was so unwell. And yeah,
That's when you say, I think someone slipped something in my drink.
but they didn't.
No,
They didn't. Yeah, you can't use that as an excuse. Anyway, you did go and do that interview on your own.
Yes, you both left me high and dry.
It was great. It was the best interview we've ever done.
Keisha wasn't dry. Ew.
Ew. Anyway, don't you have some news about your wedding dress?
So anyway, the other night I was in bed. I was drifting off to sleep and then sat bolt upright, eyes open, and was like, I need to change my wedding dress, which is already in production.
Dramatic.
Which is production. It is a production, Keisha. You'll understand when you see the 25 dresses. It's a production. And I was like, I'd have to change my dress. And I wasn't thinking about it. It must have been this like subliminal, because I didn't go to bed thinking about my dress. It's just like something hit me while I was semi-unconscious. Sat up, was like, I need to change my dress. But I don't know what to. I just know that it's not right. And I messaged my designer and I was like, I need to come in. I was like, stop the press. Stop the conga production line. I was like, I need to come in and try something different. I don't know. I think it's leaning into, because I don't know what I want to change it to and I don't know why. I just know I need to change it. But I think it's leaning into, I figured it out just yesterday with an argument that I had with Ben. I have decision fatigue. Have you ever had to make so many decisions? And maybe it's because I'm making decisions on my own, not with Ben, in every aspect of life. So there's like business, there's some personal things that I'm doing that are like really taking a lot of time and energy. There's the work, there's the wedding, there's trying to go to see Ben for holidays, there's next year. There's so much shit. And
yeah, but why is it all manifesting in the dress?
Well, no, it's not. Like I had a little mini like moment breakdown yesterday to Ben where I was like, stop asking me questions. I was like, I don't want to make another decision. I was like, you plan, you decide. And we're even trying to just like book a hotel for our holiday over Christmas. I gave him the job. I was like, book the hotel.
And then he sent you like 50 different places and was like, which one of these do you think looks good? You're like, that's still me making the decision.
Yeah,
you just dwindled the list down.
He sent me one with a basketball court. He's like, this is for you, Hooper.
It's because you're a baller.
No, but that's exactly what he did. I was like, please just make the decision. You know, I've given you the dates. You know where we're going. Like, just make it. So then 2 minutes later, I get a message back. Superior room or junior suite? I'm like, fuck. I don't want to make it anymore. I think that's where I'm at because I feel like I'm single. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I live a single life. Like I know I have a fiance, but he's not with me every day. He doesn't make the decisions. He doesn't do anything. Like I live my life for the last 10, 12 years as a single person. And I want to do it anymore, but I don't know what to do. You're like, I've got no advice.
Well, I just want to go back to the dress quickly.
My therapy session. Help. This is me asking for help.
I want it to be known I'm not qualified for this. No, I totally understand that. I think decision fatigue is a very, very big thing. And I think when you're in a situation, it's not just when you feel as though you're doing it because you're single, but when you're in a relationship and you're the one that's having to do all of the mental load.
Yeah, I imagine mums a lot too.
Yeah, and that's kind of where my brain goes to. But it's not just something that mums especially, suffer with and have to go through. I think if you're constantly making decisions and those decisions also affect and benefit everybody else around you, like it's such a load that you have to carry. So it's understandable that you get to a point. But I think it's important to identify, okay, is it because I've got decision fatigue or is it because I actually don't like my dress? Like they're two very different things and we've gone on a journey.
How did you, when you were picking your dress, was it just like, this is my dress and then you didn't think about it again? Because I don't know if I'm overthinking it now.
No, I think it's normal. I mean, I put it into perspective also us doing this renovation. I lay awake at nighttime thinking about changing colours of tiles or colours of paint or colours. I think any time that you make a decision and you can't clearly see what the outcome's going to be, there's an inherent amount of risk there, right? Especially when you're designing a dress that no one's ever seen before, it's never been created. So then you're thinking, okay, well, what if I've made the wrong decision? There's so much doubt that goes into it. Like, I think it's a normal part of the process.
There's actually a name for this. It's the paradox of choice.
Yeah.
And it's when you're presented with too many choices that it actually kind of impairs your ability to make one. So
you just don't.
If your designer, this is actually, you could maybe put this into place. If your designer comes to you with 6 dress choices and you only have those 6 to pick from, you'll be able to pick one and you'll probably feel quite content with that decision because you've picked your favourite of the 6.
Yeah, but I'm designing it.
Yes, and maybe that's the issue. You also have access to Instagram that has thousands of dresses. And so you've got all these choices that because you have the flexibility to do what you want, you're paralysed by too many choices.
It's also got nipple tassels and everything.
But that's the party outfit afterwards, right? So have you actually paused it? Are you going to change anything about it, or are you just having doubts?
I'm changing it. Yes. Well, I'm trying. I spoke to my designer. I said, look, this is the part that I don't think I'm happy with. That I'm thinking because it's not the whole dress. It's one aspect of it. It's just the nipple tassels. I'm like, do I remove them or not? He's like, we can, but I love what you've picked. The way we have designed it, I think is perfect. That's as a designer. He's like, but it's we can talk about other things as it's your dress. But then it's hard because he's the professional. And I think, God, do I trust him or do I? Anyway, I'm going to go back in, put on the little calico thing and see how I feel.
Also, Laura and I would be able to help you with this decision if you were willing to share what the dress looked like with us.
Okay, I'm going to double down on that. Keisha made me realize that on the weekend that my choice that I made to not include you guys and not include you, but not give anyone's opinion. And this is exactly why, right?
Keisha, what did you do? Why'd you make it worse?
She asked for my honest opinion and my honest reaction, and I gave it. And maybe I should have faked it.
Not to the dress. Hang on, I'll explain, Laura, because I can see Laura's brain ticking over. So this is why I think it's important for these kind of things, when it's something that's important to you, not to have too many voices, because it would send you into a spiral, right? So I made the mistake of saying to Keisha on the weekend, I found an aisle that I like for the wedding, but I'm not sure about it. My immediate thought was like, I love that. It's different, but I love it. Something about it. Can I show you? And give me your immediate reaction. Now, this is my fault because I asked her. So I showed her. She just sat silence, radio silence, crickets. And she looks up and she's like, it's a no from me.
She asked for my honest feedback.
And then it's my wedding aisle. And now I'm like, well, now I can't have it.
I don't know how to contribute to this. I think if you ask for honest feedback, you've got to be prepared for honest feedback. But also, if you love something, I think you have to preface that with saying, I really love this, but I want your honest feedback. Because if you love it, then no one's going to give you honest feedback. They're going to say, it looks great, go for that.
I did then give the certain aspects of it that I didn't like. And I thought, if you change those few things.
Keisha, you've ruined it for everyone. Now we're never going to see the dress.
Well, now I want to elope.
It's fine.
Is that too dramatic?
It is very, very dramatic. But also just like, I think you have to make a decision. You pick a decision and you've got to stick with it. And you've got to be confident in what you've chosen, because otherwise you will change your mind 300 times. We see with people who design engagement rings, like it'll be in production and then they'll be like, can I change this? Can I change that? And I think also it's quite good from a design perspective if as a designer they say, once you've signed this, it cannot be changed. Like once we've gotten to this point, you have to be sure, because then it kind of resolves that in your brain as well, that you're like, I can't change it, so I just have to accept it. So you don't lay awake at nighttime thinking like, what can be, what could I do differently? You have to kind of decide, what is it worth spending your time worrying about? Like an aisle is not where you should be focusing your energy.
But that's where all the photos and stuff are. That like when you get married,
you're getting too bogged down in like the minuteness of it. Like it's, do you know what I mean? Like the aisle will look nice no matter what you do. It will look beautiful. Whether you go with one that Keisha loves or doesn't love, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she's not going to be standing at the wedding going, oh, wouldn't have picked that aisle. Like no one does. The finer details no one cares about. They're all just there having an amazing time. So you like, I think it's so easy to get really fixated on things that are absolutely not important. They're really not important in the grand scheme of it. And you're going to have an amazing day and it's going to be so beautiful. I recommend organizing a wedding in 6 weeks. It makes your decision making real snappy and you don't have a chance to second guess anything.
Yeah, you almost don't have a chair.
You don't, well, you know, yes. And everyone sat on those chairs and they looked beautiful. You should be fucking grateful.
Well, it's that time of year again where I feel like we're a couple of weeks out from the silly season. Christmas is coming. New Year's is coming.
It's Black Friday. Everyone's in it.
Is that a quick little plug? So Black Friday, Tony May.
Black Friday started. No, but it is. I think Black Friday is now the identifier that Christmas is here because everyone's doing their Christmas shopping.
Okay, that's not what I was going to say, but if you want to go Black Friday shopping, yes.
Tony May, swipe up, swipe up.
I was saying, yes, Tony May, of course. I was saying that it's that time of year again where we come up with a new dating term. Like
they pop up out of nowhere all the time.
They really do. And I'm like, who is making this up? Like who has sat down and thought like, is it AI?
No, it's the Gen Zers. They're the ones that come up with all the new terms. Keisha just wrote down one and she was like, everyone knows it's cuffing season. And I was like, the fuck does cuffing mean? I'm a sex and relationships podcast. I don't even know what these things mean anymore.
I knew what cuffing is.
So if you didn't know what cuffing is, because you're an old boomer like me, cuffing is when you settle down with someone and you get coupled up for the summer. Or for the winter?
Well, it's usually winter. They say winter. It was an American term originally because people are cold and they might not have heating. They want to cuddle on the lounge.
It's when everyone is like single, ready to mingle for summertime, but everyone gets coupled up for the winter so that they can be warm and watch movie marathons.
There.
And bone.
Okay. Well,
with popcorn.
The new term is called sledging. Sledging is where you purposely drag someone along. So think of a sledge in the winter. It's like you're dragging a little kid along on a sled. Well, that's what this term is. It's saying that someone is intentionally delaying a breakup to get through a season. So it's maybe delaying it to get through Christmas, to get through the New Year period, like hanging on to something that should be well gone.
Now, we came across this as a new dating term because there's a couple of articles that have come out talking about how it's a red flag in dating. Obviously, the person's going to break up with you. Bit of a red flag that things aren't good. But I think it's an interesting one. And the reason for that is because I don't think it makes you a bad person if you are not sure when or how to break up with someone around this period. Like, we know that this is the time of year when breakups are high. A lot of people go through the transition of like wanting something different for their life. I also think the fact that New Year's is coming and it's a real time for self-reflection means that there's just more breakups in general. People are also wanting to be out and be like in the summertime enjoying their single best life. But it is a really hard time for breakups. If you find yourself unhappy in your relationship, it's really hard to figure out when is the most appropriate time to break up with someone, because you don't want to do it too close to Christmas. You don't want to do it in between that weird purgatory time between Christmas and New Year's. And then you don't want to do it too soon after New Year's. Like, everyone has a different barometer as to when is or isn't acceptable.
Breakometer.
Breakometer.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
love
so
that.
here are some stats. This is all by the dating app Happen. So 15% of singles from 18 to 25 continued to keep dating the same person over Christmas, even though they didn't fancy them. 15% of Gen Z have wanted to break up with their partner for some time, but decided to wait until after Christmas and New Year's. And 75% of these people made the decision to split in November, but delayed it until after New Year's. So that's a big time period. Like, if you've decided in November, but you need to wait till January, which I think is interesting, because for me personally, I would probably think, and this is interesting, what do you think, Laura? I would probably think maybe the 1st of December for me would be the cutoff. Like, I think anything sooner than that, I'd probably just get through the season.
But it depends on the type of person, right? Like, anyone who has been through a significant breakup where you've been with the person for a long time, you've made a really conscious decision that you no longer want to be in a relationship. It is a really hard thing to break up with someone, to hurt their feelings, to, dismantle your lives together. And so I don't think it makes you a shitty person if it takes you several weeks to get to that point, especially when it's over this period of Christmas and New Year's. Because also, what are you going to do? If you're living with them, you're going to move out, you're going to try and like find a new rental. Like, there are so many other aspects of this time of year that make it really challenging. So I don't think it's just an idea of like, do you want to be alone? Do you want to get the present? Like, how do you navigate the Christmas period with your families or like your spouse's family? I think there's so many more layers to it that make this particular time of year one more common for breakups to happen, but also a really, really tricky time to navigate them when they do.
I'm glad you brought that up, Laura, because I have the top reasons for sledging. 60% have said it's just to have someone to have sex with over the holiday season. Like, they don't want to be
believe
dry.
that.
I mean, it's a stat. 40% to avoid feeling lonely in this magical time of year. 30% to avoid answering questions about being single. You know, when you go back to the Christmas families and you're like, fuck off, Jan, I don't want to talk about why I'm single. And 20% to have someone to bring to the Christmas and New Year's parties. So they're the main reasons that people are sledging, that they're holding on to their relationships.
I just don't agree. I mean, I think it's a very simplified breakdown and a really selfish breakdown as to why people do this. There is so many more nuanced explanations as to why someone would hold on to a relationship at this time of year.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because they just don't want to hurt the other person, and feeling as though you're doing it so close to Christmas, it's like, I don't want to ruin their Christmas. I don't want to ruin this time of year that's meant to be important to them. So I'm going to do it in the new year when things feel a little bit more like I have, there's less things that we have to show up for. Like, I have a little bit more control over what that's going to look like.
I just think people put it in the too hard basket. Like, the last thing you want to do at Christmas time is go through a breakup. I've been in this situation before, and I think it's been more about the fact that I didn't want to have those really low feelings, and I didn't want to make someone else have those low feelings over a really happy time. Like, what's supposed to be happy time with your family? Like, if you've just been dumped, even if you haven't been dumped, even if you're the dumper, you still feel shitty, right? Like, most people still feel sad that their relationship's over. Some people might not, but if you've just been dumped at Christmas time, it's all you can think about. Like, you are so upset and so sad. You don't know what direction your life is going to take. You don't know why. You might not have closure. I think it's pretty, in a way, and I hate to say this, but it's almost a little bit selfish to implement that pain on someone if it wasn't 100% necessary. Like, if you've been with someone for a long time and it's not the end of the world to let them have a nice holiday season with their family and then dump them in January, I think that's okay. People will disagree with me.
It's funny because I think any other time of year you would say don't string someone along. But this
Totally.
time of year it seems to have slightly different rules. I think it's easy, and I know I said at the very start, it's very easy to villainize someone who is the breakupper. It's very easy to think that there is like really selfish motives around it. But often, and I know this because I have experienced this myself, and I have friends who have gone through this, like, it can take someone a really long time to build up the courage to do the breaking up because they know how much hurt it's going to cause. And they're not doing it because they don't love the person or care about them anymore or because they want to inflict that type of pain on them. So it is such a considered and drawn out process for some people. I know other people can discard people's feelings as though they mean nothing, but I think the normal, non-psychopathic people who are just trying to navigate good relationships aren't doing it to inflict hurt on people, and it causes them pain as well. It's interesting because we asked you guys, we did a very quick poll on Life Uncut, went to the Brains Trust to ask what do you think would be the kindest time frame pre or post Christmas for breakups. 70% of you said that 1 month before, so now, if you're considering breaking up with someone, now is the ideal time to do it.
Now's the cutoff.
Now is it, and that's why we're talking about it because
Go home, break up with your lover today.
Don't wait another day because you're wasting time.
Say Life Uncut said
70% of you said 1 month is acceptable. Now, only 8% of you said that 2 weeks is acceptable before Christmas. 2% of you said 1 week was acceptable before Christmas.
Mate, that's rough. That is rough.
To be dumped a week before Christmas.
A week before Christmas. And I think if it's a normal relationship, and I want to preface, all these conversations are basically around the fact of an amicable breakup. Like nothing's happened because if someone's cheated on you or someone's a fuckwit, you're going to dump them whether it's an hour before Christmas. This is based off the fact of okay, maybe our relationship's run its course, but I'll drag them along a little bit longer.
Well, there is another stat in here. So 21% of you said after New Year's is the preferred time to break up with someone. So the two highest was 1 month before or after New Year's happens, which I think if you are at a point in your relationship now where you're thinking about it, now is probably the preferred time because it also means that you don't have to go into New Year's holding on to something that you don't want, and holding on to a relationship that has run its course, because I think that then you run the risk of it turning into something that feels really resentful and you're stuck spending time with someone or you're stuck giving someone a kiss at bloody New Year's when you're in your head thinking, oh my God, I have to break up with this person in 2 weeks and this is just a horrible experience for me.
If I was in that situation and I was about to be dumped, my partner was going to dump me and they could have dumped me a week or two before Christmas or just faked it and held on for an extra couple of weeks and dumped me in Jan, I would take being dumped in Jan. I know every part of our core, we would usually say it's best to know and best to know your worth and all of that stuff. But if it's a difference when you're a week before Christmas, nothing bad has happened. You just know your relationship's run its course and someone dumped me, I would have been like, bro, couple more weeks. Same way I felt.
Give me a present at least.
Same way I felt about the honey badger. I was like, mate, just lock me down for a week and break up with me off air. I was like, why would you break up with me live on TV?
You actually would have preferred for him to have said that he wanted to be with you on the show and then a couple of weeks later dumped you.
Yep.
You would have preferred that.
Not now. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. At the time, I remember saying and thinking, to my friends and stuff, I was like, wouldn't you just – but that was more about giving you to go off air, not just faking it. If he absolutely was like, I can't stand the girl, she gives me the ick, cool, whatever. To be clear, that's not what he said.
Imagine. He's like, I can't stand a single day of being with you in the real world. I'd rather know.
Laura, I don't have to imagine. That was it. That was it. He would rather never see me again than try for 1 day. Yes.
It's only funny now because you're happy. It wasn't funny a year ago.
Am I laughing? Is this my laughy face? Remind me. At the time, I was absolutely give it a go. 1 day or even if, and I remember saying, and I hate that I said it, but I remember saying, even if you didn't like me, don't let me be the first person in the world to not be good enough to even have 1 day in the real world.
Well, no, it's not true because then you kind of discount Sophie and all of that as well. It wasn't just you he dumped. He dumped 2 people that he didn't want to give a go in the real world.
Yes, but I'm saying it's never happened on any other series ever.
That he hated everyone.
I felt embarrassed and I was like, just hang on. Yeah, just hang on to me a little bit longer. But obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing and it happened the best way it could have. But I just think if you're in that situation and you're that close, a week is too close. But I did ask my audience.
You're also no hard feelings. It's only been 6 years, but I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm so over it.
Oh, I couldn't give a fuck. I could not care less.
I couldn't give a fuck. I mean, fuck you. I mean, I couldn't give a fuck.
I'm still not laughing. I genuinely couldn't give a fuck.
I don't care. Who cares? Not me. Sorry.
It's easy for the person that won The Bachelor and had 2 kids and got married to laugh, isn't it?
Anytime you want to giggle.
Yeah, watch my finale of The Bachelor. Great. Thanks, Laura.
Maybe we should one day.
No.
Wouldn't that be a fun Life Uncut exercise? We could all have like a sleepover party and watch the finales together.
I will say yes
That
to
would
that.
be a very different experience for you and Britt.
We can all laugh at how absurd the whole thing was. I tried to show the girls once the finale of Matt and I, and Marley was so overcome that she would not stop crying, and she cried for an entire hour. She just
Sounds similar to
and
my
then-
finale.
And then she said, Mummy, no one's ever going to love me like that. And I was like, you've watched way too much TV for a 5-year-old.
How? Wow. How
When she
did
starts
say
mentioning
that?
her
She was-
journey or being here for the right reasons.
I think
that-
she was upset because she's always been, this is a real segue. She's always thought that like our wedding was our wedding, like as a family. Like she thought we got married together. And so then this was the first time that she'd realized that we had a relationship before she was born. And she had always said like, I married my daddy. And so she's also like married to. And then I think she put it into perspective that actually Matt
cheated on her.
Yeah. She felt cheated on by her own father.
He did it dirty.
Matt is the first person to betray her. Now she knows what it's like.
Well, you have to set them up young for life. It's going to happen to her. She's going to be shat on. Maybe, literally, maybe.
It's coming. It's coming.
Psychologically.
You always wonder how you're going to traumatize your children. I didn't think The Bachelor was going to traumatize them. They traumatized me. but
Life before her. Like her preconception.
I traumatized my children before they were even born
Wait, she's going to grow up with so much trauma. She's like, I was cheated on before I was even conceived.
by my dad.
That's so weird. That's so fun. How did we get here?
Therapy.
Okay, we did have some responses from the lifers. I broke up with my boyfriend on Wednesday, so a month at least. My ex-boyfriend of 4 years broke up with me 2 days before Christmas. What a cock. But he wanted us to pretend to still be together so we didn't ruin Christmas for our families. I'm sorry, bro. You ruined it.
No, you can't. If they break up with you 2 days before Christmas, you're not putting on an act just to save their face.
But also just you pretend. Just don't tell her. Break up with her in a couple of days.
yeah.
One pretender is easier than 2.
You can't do that. Another person wrote in saying there is never a good time for a breakup. So I just say go for it because I got dumped on Christmas Day.
Well, what'd she do?
And it was not a pleasant experience. We decided to give our relationship another chance 3 days later, but we ended up breaking up again on New Year's Eve. We were camping at Seal Rocks when he left me there and told me that he was no longer in love with me. However, you know what? It turned out that it was the best painful gift he could have given me.
Hang on, he just left you there?
He just left her there at Seal Rocks.
See, that's rough because there's no phone reception there.
No, it's just a
Maybe
really
you didn't
low.
drive in together.
Yeah, you can't just get straight back on Tinder and start swiping. This other
I
person.
don't think it's about that. I think it's about actually having access to leave.
Well, this other person wrote, my partner broke up with me 2 days before Christmas. He was an asshole. There is a sentiment that if you leave it too close to a really important day like Christmas or New Year's, then that is more selfish. It's like you've done it to get it over with so that you could then enjoy the day, right? I think that the closer you leave it to something that's like a huge milestone like Christmas or New Year's, there is a selfishness that's attached. If you've had time to plan it out better, but then you got so close and pushed up to that deadline that you were like, oh, fuck, Christmas is in 2 days and I don't want you there with my family, that's the shitty move.
We'll talk about planning and not planning. I asked on Instagram, I did my own market research, my own poll about how many people have reached New Year's Eve. So it's not planned. You've hit New Year's Eve. Like picture this. You've hit New Year's Eve. You're at the party. You're having fun. You're looking forward to the next year. You're planning what you want. You're thinking of your resolutions. What do I want from life? What do I want from a relationship? And you have the moment on New Year's that your partner, for whatever reason, is not it. And then you break up. I asked you guys that, and 25% of people have said they've had that exact moment on New Year's where they've projected into their future and they're like, that is not my person. I actually had a friend that did exactly that last New Year's. They had been in a relationship for 7 years. Everything was fine. Nothing was wrong. And she said 12 o'clock struck and everyone went and had their kiss. And she looked over at her partner and she said, I don't know what happened. She's like, I don't think I want to have that New Year's kiss. So, but she did it anyway. She went and kissed him. And then in that moment, she was like, this is not it anymore. And she broke up with him the next day.
She got the ick. He turned into a pumpkin.
As the clock struck 12.
She got the ick.
Yeah. This other lifer wrote in, I split up with my 8-year-long partner, 2 houses, 2 dogs on New Year's Day after going to a New Year's Eve celebration the night before. We had been inseparable for 8 years. But then I just realized it's not it. And if I don't do it now, it'll never happen. Fast forward 3 years. I'm now married and have a house with my husband and a 2-year-old, and my ex is now gay. So everyone won.
Wow.
Maybe she knew.
Yeah. Look, there's probably some telltale signs.
8
You would
years.
think. Well, I don't know. I feel we've all seen that episode of, well, not episode, the movie Brokeback Mountain where he's trying to flip her over.
Okay, I haven't. Am I the only person in the world? I haven't seen Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, so there's a really famous scene in Brokeback Mountain. He's married to Michelle,
Bridget.
to Brittany,
I didn't mean that. Michelle Williams.
to Michelle Williams. He's married to Michelle Williams, and he keeps trying to like flip her over to do it from behind. You're
In
like,
the butt.
well, who knows?
Or just doggy.
I think doggy.
Well, you watched it. What happened?
Well, they don't show which hole he's trying to stick it in, Britt. I don't know. You can't tell.
Well, one goes in easier. You would know, wouldn't you?
Probably.
From the
Do you
reaction.
want me to get into the research of why people like to have these reasons to break up at
Also,
New Year's?
if your partner wants to do you from behind it, it's
It doesn't mean-
absolutely not an indication that they're gay. Like,
Yeah, we don't
it
go off
doesn't-
Brokeback Mountain.
It doesn't mean anything. It reminded me of the movie. That was all. Sorry.
So there are 3 reasons
Don't cancel me.
that people tend to break up around New Year's. I'll give you the headlines. Reason number 1 is the New Year forces you to reflect on unmet expectations.
I think that's very obvious, though. I think New Year's is such a defining benchmark for what you want in your life. It's a moment to reflect. It's a moment to kind of look forward and to go, okay, well, did last year match up to the expectations that I had for myself? And if it didn't, I think a big one of those is like the expectations we have around our relationships and what we want from our partners.
Yeah, and people see it as a fresh start, which I think is interesting because it's just a day. It's the same day as every other day of the year. Like you can start your fresh start at any point, but we save it up to have to be like this big, huge deal when we enter the first of the next year. But at the end of the day, like have your fresh start whenever. If you want it in June,
Yeah, but there is something that's quite special about it, though. Like, I mean,
about dumping on you.
no, there's something quite special about a new year. Like it is, even if you say it is just a day, absolutely. But at the same time, like opening up a new like year calendar planner, like everything is fresh. It really does feel like.
When have you ever opened a calendar?
I always, every single year, I get the jumbled day planner book. And every single year by January, I've stopped using it.
Same.
Don't ever
Shock.
do it.
Well, Britt, that was actually reason 3. So the desire for a fresh start sparks bold moves. But there was one other, and it said holiday stresses highlight relationship weaknesses. So I guess all of the, it's a bit of a pressure cooker, family obligations, having to spend time, one person's usually compromising more than the other. There's financial strains, unmet expectations. That was reason number 2 for why people seem to break up around New Year's.
I think it's also the time that if you're in maybe a new relationship too, like just say you've never spent that time together, it's a pretty telltale sign of what a partner will be and what they're going to be, what they bring to the table, how much they do, because it's not like the rest of the year when you're just churning through a work week, you're getting home, you're going out to dinner, you're having drinks. Like when you've got a couple of weeks off, you're on holidays with people, you've got a lot of time where you're not working with people, you're with each other's family. So you get to see how each other interact with family. Do they pull their weight? Are they helping with the cooking? Are they helping with the cleaning? Are they wanting to buy presents or whatever it is? It can be a very eye-opening time for a lot of relationships. So I think a lot of people have this moment where they see their future and they're like, I can't have this person as my future. Like they're not even showing up for me now.
I would love to know if you're someone who is currently either sledging your partner, thinking about it. Like if you are, no, genuinely, I know it's a stupid term, but like if you are currently in a situation where you're thinking that you don't want to be with them, but you're trying to build up the courage to break up. And now that we've had this conversation, you're like, fuck, I got to do it now or I got to do it in 2025. I would love to know like where it is that you sit on the spectrum and like what is it that's holding you back from doing it sooner or rather than later? Because not everyone, but 99% of people are going to go through a bad breakup at some point in their life, right? It's just kind of part and parcel of relationships, but it is unfortunate the timing of when some of these happen. So I would love to know from anyone who is going through this right now and how you plan on navigating it. And we will report back next week. It is time for Accidentally Unfiltered, your most embarrassing stories. If you have an embarrassing story, that thing that like you just wish you could fucking forget and never, ever, ever think of again.
We
Send
want
it
you
to
to
us.
not forget.
Send it to us so we can all laugh about it together and at you, It's kind of like the one humbling thing is that we all have an embarrassing story, I think. All right. My partner and I were going through self-checkout and had enough items that we could carry them without a bag, or so I thought. Now, I picked up a few items first and then I said, I'm out of hands. He froze. I said it again. I don't have another hand. Again, he didn't move. I proceeded to say loudly, multiple times, "Can you get the rest? Because I don't have a spare hand." Lo and behold, the lady working at the self-checkout only had one hand.
I'm not laughing.
Well, I mean, he could have just picked up the other pieces. He didn't have to stand there like a fucking stunned mullet, did he?
100%. Or he could have said, shh, she's only got one hand.
He's like, yeah, you and her both.
Oh, that's so awkward. I'm sure it's not the first time she's experienced that. Oh my God, do you know what? I just remembered. I think I've told you guys this years ago, but I had an experience similar to that when I was working in a hospital. A patient came into the room and they always get wheeled in the bed. And I had to get him up to do some scans. And I was like, all right, let's jump out of bed. And he was like, nah, no. And I was like, yeah, come on. Because some things are better. And anyone that works in what I work in that's listening now is going to know 100%. Or anyone in healthcare knows that you have to really encourage people to get out of the bed because sometimes they are just feeling lazy.
Elderly people.
Elderly people, yes, because things are better for them when they stand up, but they will usually fight it. But you have to get them up. So I was very encouraging of this person. I was like, come on, we have to get you up. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm like, yes, you can, Barry. Like, come on, I know you can. Because he looked really well. And I was like,
Barry, you can do this. I believe in you, Barry.
I was
Stand
like,
on your own two legs.
Yes. I was like, let me get you up. I was like, here, I'll help you. He's like, I can't. I was like, you can. And I got his hands and I sat him up in the bed and I was like, just swing your legs around and I'll help you stand. So he whips the blanket off. Barry has no legs. None. Not even a prosthesis. I was like, Barry, I'm so sorry. Also, his name wasn't Barry. I changed
Barry,
it.
indeed you can't.
I was like,
Barry, you can do a lot of things, but
I was like, sorry, Barry, I thought you'd been lazy.
that's fucked.
It was fucked.
That's why you don't work in healthcare anymore.
That's why I had
someone
to resign.
gets wheeled in on a bed with obviously no legs. There's no lump there. It's a flat bed, and Brittany's
you can't
like,
tell.
"Stand up, you lazy prick."
No, you can't tell. Honestly, if I could tell, I wouldn't have asked him to stand up. I tried to pull him out of the bed with his hands. I was like, I'll guide you, Barry. Come on, let me guide you.
Did Barry have a look on it? Was he real smug? Because I would have been. I would have been like, I got you.
It was the look where he knew he was about to mic drop. So he was like playing it up for sure, Baz.
I told you no, Brittany.
He knew.
All right, well, suck and sweet. What is your suck for the week, Britt?
I don't want to do it.
Okay, my suck. My suck for the week is once again renovation-esque. I think that's going to be my suck ongoing for the next few weeks now. We had to do an emergency trip down to Ulladulla on the weekend, which is not a bad thing. It's beautiful down there. So lovely.
An emergency
It's
trip.
also my sweet. Like, it's so great going down there for the weekend, but we went down there because there was a bit of a drama once again surrounding the tiles, okay? There was a drama with the glue and the tiles and the colours changing and shit's been happening. So we drove down there on the weekend. It's not great. Like, it's still a bit of a suck, but the problem is going to get solved. I don't want to throw the builder on the bus because he's really wonderful, but there was a bit of an error.
My favourite thing about this is when you started to do this, you're like, 8 weeks we're in.
Yeah.
I was like, 8 weeks you will not be in, but I'm not going to say that.
Well, maybe that's my suck then, because we had it targeted in our brain that we were going to do Christmas down there, and now we're thinking like April.
Yeah, no, Christmas 2025.
April is when this renovation will be done. And also, here's my other suck. So we've gone with the checkerboard, everyone. We've gone single tile. We did a poll. Everyone said go 4 tiles. We ignored you all. We went single tile.
I polled 4 tiles.
Everyone polled 4.
I did too.
The mass number of you, it was like 80-20. But that 20%, we lent in hard.
Why do you ask the question if you're going to ignore it anyway?
Rage baiting, I think. I like to rage bait. I don't care. I'd already decided I was going singles, to be honest, because I mean, I hadn't at the start. I was having self-doubt. I woke up in the middle of the night in a frenzy, in a hot sweat. I didn't know. And then I realized I was being crazy and it doesn't matter. So I just went singles anyway. But hear
I feel
me
like
out.
I've just gone on a real journey with you this last 30 seconds.
Hear me out. So we did the singles, everyone.
And let me guess, you regret it.
No, I don't regret it. I sent photos to Matt's mum. We sent photos to my mum, to Matt's mum. Matt's mum was like, oh, looks good. Anyway, we went out for dinner with Matt's sister last night after we got back from Ulladulla. And Matt's sister was like, oh my God, mum is freaking the fuck out. And I was like, why is she freaking out? She's like, she thinks it looks bad and she thinks it looks too busy. And I was like, Ellie.
It does.
It doesn't. It looks great.
Behind your back.
It looks awesome. She's been bitching about the floor tiles.
I couldn't focus my eyes on the single. It was making me go cross-eyed. They're too close. The squares were too close together for me.
Imagine if we do mushrooms down there and just sit in the floors.
Why would we ever do that?
I don't know. I might.
I'll come.
Yeah, guys, sorry, I was just trying to be diplomatic on a national podcast on an illegal drug.
There's lots
Whatever.
of research into psilocybin these days.
My sweet for the week is, I mean, it's a very base sweet, but I'm going to go with it. When we were down there, so like it's right near the beach, right? There's this beautiful beach called Racecourse Beach, which is right next to where the house is. And we've been down there so much, but we haven't really been to the beach yet. There's been no time because we've been so busy worried about the tiles. And we took the kids down and we had an afternoon down there and there was not a single person on the beach, just us. It's just like this massive beach. I guess the South Coast is not as populated as Bondi. It's very different and it was so nice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and the kids were swimming naked because we were like, there's no one here.
Okay, well, don't tell anyone that.
So they can just live their free naked life. It was so nice. I also was naked.
All of a sudden, Laura's down the south
I
coast
almost-
doing mushrooms and swimming naked.
I want to be down the South Coast and I want to be naked literally 100% of my time.
What was that headline about questioning your lifestyle habits again?
I almost don't want you to stop talking because there's a lot going on right now.
I've lost it, guys. Britt, what's your suck for the week?
Fucking hell, not psychedelics. My suck for the week is so when I have been going over to see Ben in Scotland, the weather difference, I don't need to tell you this, is astronomical. It is so cold over there. It snows there. It's not like a normal winter here. So I didn't have clothes, right? So I bought my winter wardrobe in the UK and left it at Ben's house so that it could stay over there so I didn't have to come back and forth. Now he's moved somewhere even colder. Now here we are in Romania where it's already -4 and 5 degrees and we're not even at Christmas yet. So I said to Ben, hey, I'm thinking about packing my bag. Can you just remind me what winter clothes I have over there so I know what to pack? Because I'm only taking one bag. He goes, babe, I don't know how to tell you this. And he said, I put all your clothes in storage and left them in the UK. So he didn't take any of my winter clothes to Romania when he moved. So I don't have anything there. So that is my suck. And I know a lot of people are going to listen to this thinking it's not a big deal. It's a big fucking deal because it is so cold and I don't own the clothes. I've already purchased the clothes and now they're in another country. So that is my current suck. My sweet... This is a bit of a sweet and a suck, but I spoke to one human the whole weekend, right? Like I've talked to you guys before about how sometimes I go into a hole and I just hang out with my dog and I don't see anyone else. But the only person I did speak to was I was walking back from the beach yesterday and a girl sort of like, I had headphones in and a girl sort of waved me and stopped me on the street and she came over and she said, oh my God, she goes, I'm a lifer and I don't live in Sydney. And I thought, what are the odds that I could possibly run into like you or Laura? And she said, I'm not just a lifer. She's like, I've listened to every episode but 2. Every episode.
What
You're like, what were the two?
No, I know. She told me. I asked her the very start. So like she said she started tuning in. Actually, good question. Mate, if you're listening, go back and listen to the first 2 and then you've got a 100% success rate. She tuned in halfway or just before halfway of the first ever season. And it really blew my mind because we put out so much content. I know a lot of lifers listen religiously, but I'm sure there are so many episodes that they miss. But she reckons she hasn't missed one.
That's amazing. I also met some cracking lifers over the weekend. I met one girl down when I was in Ulladulla. She was there with her partner and she was 6 months pregnant and it was really, really sweet because at the time, so like Marley was kind of like making faces to her partner through the window. And this poor girl was like, oh my God, do not interact with them. Because she was like, it's so embarrassing. I know her because I listened to her podcast. And then eventually it all came out and it was very sweet. Like, guys, don't like come and speak to us. We love it. It makes us so happy.
Can I tell my own version of this? It is so sweet. There was this one day I was walking Delilah up on Bondi Promenade and these 2 girls, I had a podcast in, so I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I noticed that they were kind of making gestures near me, right? And so I paused the podcast and they both had accents. One was Irish, one was British. And they said that it was their first day in Bondi. They had listened to the podcast from the UK for ages.
Aww.
And they were like, we actually can't believe that this is all happening. This is our first swim on Bondi Beach.
And you're here.
We've listened to you for so long. This is Delilah. Like, what are the chances of this? And I laughed and I said, well, the chances of seeing Delilah along Bondi Promenade are probably higher than what you think. But I'm really glad that we were here for the first time.
You're like, we trawl this area looking for lifers.
We
We'll
also-
come here looking for any tourist lifers that there are. If you come to Bondi, there's like 100% strike rate that you're going to see one of us.
At least Delilah running rogue somewhere.
Yeah, trying to get Pat.
The other one, there was one other had another amazing encounter. So I was lining up to use the toilet in a restaurant and this girl comes running up to me and I thought she was going to ask. She goes, "Excuse me, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Oh, it's fine. Like you can go." She was like,
busting.
"No." She's like, "I had to come say hi." And I thought she needed to use the toilet, but actually she was just a mad listener. And it's the best. I know we've said this for years, but it means so much to us. Like we love it so much when you guys come and say hello. So like please never ever think, "Oh my God, I don't want to go and say hi to them." Like it is like the fucking best buzz
I love
ever.
it.
That is always going to be the sweet for us.
It means more than a podcast award.
Yeah, it does. I'll flash you my titty. Anyway, guys, that is it from us.
And don't forget, tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your dog, tell your friends, and share the love because
We love love.